Alrighty, here's going to be a full video on the nibbi 28mm PWK carburetor on a quadrunner 250, and also tips on waterproofing it. So pretty much you get the 28mm because the intake's 28mm, which is just 2mm smaller than like the 30 on the 90s and up, but that just means you got to get a smaller clamp right here. I just took the clamp from an 87, and then the reason why you go with the 28 is because the air side is factory size at I think it's like 55mm. It's like 50 or 55mm, and you can run a factory air box. I just don't have a factory air box because mine got melted by the exhaust over here, and every time I seal it up, it just wants to keep melting through. So I said screw it. I snorkeled it and put a intake up here. And for waterproofing, if you're going to be water riding like me, problem with this carb is this top right here. This air can get, water can go right through here, air can get right through here. So you want to make sure you pack this sucker full with dielectric grease. And then I just threw these zip ties on here to make sure that it holds tight and this doesn't, you know, come off. And right here, I just took urethane all over my cable because my cable, where it meets right here, really you can just heat shrink it or something like that, but I put urethane all over it. But my cable was coming apart right here, and I just said fuck it, and I urethaned it all. I work for a glass company. I got urethane on deck. And then if you end up switching the boots like I did, make sure that you put a new gasket on the bottom. I took a Pro rubber sheet from AutoZone, and I just cut out a new gasket on there. And let me think. You're not going to run the factory choke. It's not going to match up at all. So you just got this little choke, which is no problem. Doesn't really matter that much. Jetting wise, for me, I have a little bit more airflow. So the jetting ended up just being perfect for me. Another guy that did this carburetor, after I talked about it, he put it with the factory air box, and it bogs a little bit when you give it like just a harsh full throttle right away. So you might have to dial the air up maybe a little bit more with the screw over here, or you might have to go down one jet, which they do give you 4 different jets. And then this carburetor doesn't have a vacuum line for fuel pump. Well, maybe it does. These two lines, I'm pretty sure they're not. But so what I did is that I came over here on the intake manifold, and oh my gosh, you can't really see it. Where's it at? What is it at? Oh, there it is. So, burned out a hole. And then I shoved a 3/8 inch nipple, or barbed nipple, to a 1/4 inch barbed nipple. And then I shoved the fatter end into the intake, and then I got the smaller end onto here, so it goes up to the factory fuel pump line. No problem. And actually, you know, does great. It might even try to pump a little harder than what it did before, but let's see what it starts up like. There we go. Usually you can feather and it just starts up. But I went and took it into the pond and checked it out. I had it completely underwater. All this was underwater. It did great. Carb wasn't leaking any out the top. So I heavily recommend it. It runs so much better than the factory. Well, I didn't have a factory carb actually. I had a Chinese knockoff off the factory, which just was a pain in the butt. It would run right, wouldn't run right. The factory was muscles all get out, stripped everywhere, and yeah, I didn't trust a Chinese rebuild kit. So here we are, 28mm nibbi. I got 28s and 25s, and I could still go. I got 35 on the speedometer, which is like probably 40 actually. So it still runs really good, and yeah, I think it's an upgrade. There you go.